CARnage. Welcome back to Demo, the series where we take a look at demos of the latest demos. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at CARnage, a game from developer Gleemill. The Steam page describes this as a brutal arcade-style race to the finish, pitting you against 7 other maniacal drivers in a post-apocalyptic wasteland for road supremacy. Let's see how this game plays. Overall, CARnage doesn't offer anything groundbreaking in the way of visuals, but it does have a humble, hand-drawn pixel art style that will harken back to the golden era of the SNES and drum up memories of similar racers like Micro Machines, Super Off-Road, and Rock and Roll Racing, with a little Twisted Metal showing some influence as well. The top-down view can make it tough to navigate the courses, as turns can come up suddenly and it really will depend on your car's tuning to be able to handle certain turns, but there are settings to adjust the camera's zoom level to help with that. The game flows from race course to car garage, where you spend your winnings on car enhancements and weapon upgrades, which will feel necessary to keep pace with the increasingly zany environments the game tosses you into. It's a streamlined experience with no extra fluff, letting you get right into the next race after a calculated pit stop and fresh coat of paint. The style, as mentioned, gives off the feeling of a Twisted Metal if it had released for the Super Nintendo. The post-apocalyptic Mad Max inspiration always seems fitting for a pedal-to-the-metal grit and gravel racing game, and that sheen isn't lost on CARnage, as you meet a number of rival racers that are various archetypes of a radiated, mutated, octane-obsessed future world where winning races is the only thing left to do, apparently. Engine power and acceleration are all that matter here, and of course destroying your enemies with rockets. The UI can be a bit confusing at first, mostly in the garage where the visual hierarchy has a slight layout problem. Again, you adjust to it eventually, but it does feel unintuitive at the start. The visuals in the menus aren't bad by any means, but they do feel like they could use a little more love and polish to fully fit with the main game loop. This is often where we see the most disconnect between a game's play area and its interfacing. Unfortunately for me, the audio of CARnage didn't finish in first place, as the music for the game can sometimes seem off-brand or even meant for a different project. The tracks themselves are fine, but there are some songs that just don't seem to fit the world of a ravaged, gasoline-soaked raceway. Coming off as overly hopeful and upbeat, where the mood would call for something a little bit more intense or serious. The sound effects might be the biggest miss for me with this game, as some sounds become quickly repetitive, especially when they comprise a majority of the sounds you expect to hear. I'm looking at you, Tire Screech 1.wave. There is an audio rendering issue, it seems, as well, where some sounds will just not play at all, such as during impacts, or when many sounds might be triggered at the same time, like during big car pileups. Beyond the technical flubs, the sound design falls a little flat, albeit meant to mimic early console sound effects. There just isn't as much punch and crunch as you might want in a game about nitros, boosting, and high-speed collisions. This is the most glaring issue I found, and it causes a bit of a disjointed experience. Together, the two components make up the weakest angle of the game's total package. A simple game can be made much more impactful by effective sound design and music selection, but a great game can conversely be brought down significantly by lackluster audio just the same. With some revamping though, I think the audio can be helped to improve. I played for several races on the controller, which is simple and intuitive enough. We have all driven cars in games: right trigger for gas, left for brakes, left analog for steering. Convention should never be changed for expected controls like these. CARnage obeys that, and has the typical handbrake and weapons mapped to the left and bottom face buttons as well. Your fingers instinctively go where your brain expects them to. My one problem, and this was personal, was that my damn USB connection kept shorting and my car was left for dead in the water, costing me several races. Only then did I discover the game has keyboard support, using the arrow keys for steering and accelerating, which again felt intuitive and played like other games in the genre. Overall, the game plays quite well, with the faults lying mostly on the player missing turns and ending up in rough patches, or falling through holes in the course. As with any racing game that features stats, your success is largely to do with how upgraded your car is. Added to that the inclusion of weapons, which will damage and disable your car, environmental hazards like pitfalls and car-stopping level debris. Your ability to navigate well will largely depend on your foresight and memory of the tracks. As mentioned, The game features a simple, streamlined gameplay loop. Race car, win race, make race car better at racing cars. Repeat with added challenges. Sometimes you just need to have a fun experience. There isn't always a need to break the mold, though some branching pathway options would have made for a fun, customized experience rather than a linear straight line through the courses, but that's just me. It could just be a product of pacing, but I didn't find myself compelled to finish the demo. It's possible that this was merely because I needed to write this review, or because I felt the demo itself went on too long and didn't really feel like a demo. It almost gave too much away in the sampler plate. If I had purchased this game, I do believe I would play it to completion, though I don't know what that means for the game's replayability. Some branching options, as mentioned earlier, would be helpful in bringing the player back in, but as it stands, you do get the sense that you can get through this entire game in one sitting, and that would be fine for you, which isn't always a bad thing. When trying to look up other games in this genre, I was surprised to see so few results. Maybe it's the Mandela effect, but I feel I remember many more titles in this category growing up. Perhaps they were on later consoles than the one this game is mimicking, but for the lane it occupies, CARnage seems to carry the torch well. It colors within the lines and offers a fun little world to imagine yourself taking part in. I genuinely did find myself wanting to beat the rival racers of each course, and would feel satisfied when my rocket launcher demolished them just before the finish line. CARnage finds its strengths in its fun gameplay loop, impressively good car combat, and a decent progression system that has you wanting to win races in order to improve your car. However, where CARnage lacks is in its sound design that leaves a lot to be desired, the more or less linear gameplay experience that doesn't offer really a lot of variety, and overall the game just needs a bit of visual polish to tighten up the rough edges. It's not often you get a pixel art demolition derby style game in the modern setting, and it almost reminded me of an old Flash game or something I would play in the computer lab back in high school, or find on Newgrounds in its heyday. The punky Fallout aesthetic is always welcome in my camp, and I actually found myself truly wanting to win races and crush my enemies. That's never a bad thing, right? If you yearn for the gold medal and are willing to do whatever it takes to get there, I think you would enjoy your time with CARnage. I would expect a price tag of around $5 to $10 on this one, and it could go as high as $15. The racing and car combat does play well, the audio is a bit of a snag, but overall the game operates perfectly fine. If you like a nice top-down racer, keep an eye out for CARnage.